You worked for this. You earned it. The promotion, the degree, the recognition. And yet when people congratulate you, something inside tightens. A quiet thought appears. They don't really know me. Or worse, I fooled them. Why does success feel like exposure instead of arrival? Person standing alone in a spotlight while the background fades into darkness. Hold that question, because the answer isn't what you think. 2. Problem deep dive. On the outside, your life looks like progress. On the inside, it feels like performance. You replay conversations in your head. You overthink the email you sent. You wonder if this was luck, timing, lowered standards. When someone praises you, you deflect. When someone criticizes you, it feels like confirmation. You tell yourself you just need to grow into it. But months pass, and the feeling stays. This isn't just insecurity. It's an identity conflict. Psychology calls this a gap between your self-concept and your external reality. Your self-concept is the internal story you've built about who you are, not your resume, not your achievements, your identity. And here's the problem. Your achievements can change faster than your identity does. So when success arrives, your brain doesn't update the story immediately. It protects the old one. Visual, notebook with a sentence written, "I'm not that capable." If your internal narrative says, "I'm average," or "I'm behind," or "I only succeed when I overwork," then sudden success feels like a glitch in the system. And the brain hates glitches. It wants coherence. So instead of expanding the identity, it questions the success. But why? Reframe. Before we go deeper, understand this. You are not broken. You are consistent. This feeling of being fake is not weakness. It's an adaptation. Your brain is designed to preserve identity stability. In personality psychology, identity acts like a psychological anchor. It keeps your behavior predictable. It keeps your world understandable. If your identity was built during years of doubt, comparison, or subtle criticism, then humility became safety. Self-minimizing became protection. Staying small felt stable. So when reality suddenly says, "You're capable, you're impressive, you've grown," your nervous system doesn't celebrate. It hesitates. Because expansion feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can feel dangerous. Person stepping into a larger, brighter room but pausing at the doorway. The question isn't, why am I fake? The real question is, why does growth feel unsafe? Let's look at the mechanism. 4. Psychological mechanism. There are 3 processes happening in your brain. First, cognitive dissonance. When your self-image, "I'm not that competent," clashes with evidence, "I just succeed," the brain experiences tension. Dissonance feels uncomfortable. So the brain reduces it. There are 2 ways to reduce dissonance. Update identity. Dismiss the success. Updating identity requires rewiring long-term beliefs. That's energy intensive. Dismissing success is quicker. So the brain says, "It was luck. That won't happen again. They overestimated me." That's efficiency, not truth. Second, the brain's prediction system. Your brain constantly predicts outcomes based on past patterns. If your past involves struggle, criticism, or feeling overlooked, your predictive system expects more of the same. Success violates prediction. And when predictions fail, the brain flags it as uncertainty. Uncertainty activates mild threat responses. Not danger, but alertness. Visual, abstract brain animation with signals misfiring, then recalibrating. So your body feels tense. Your thoughts become cautious. You interpret praise as risk. Third, identity lag. Here's the metaphor. Imagine your identity as software. Your life experiences are updates. But software doesn't auto-install new versions instantly. It runs on the old operating system until manually updated. So externally, you're version 3.0. Internally, you're still running version 1.8. That gap creates the fake feeling, not because you're pretending, but because your internal model hasn't caught up. And here's the part most people miss. Your brain values consistency more than confidence. It would rather you feel small and certain than expanded and unstable. So the real work isn't becoming confident. It's updating the internal model. How do you do that without forcing fake positivity? 5. Practical framework. Not affirmations, not hype, but neurological recalibration. Here are 4 principles. 1. Separate event from identity. What to do. When you succeed, describe the event specifically instead of labeling yourself. Instead of, "I'm amazing," Say, I handled that presentation clearly. Why it works. Specific labeling reduces cognitive dissonance. The brain integrates behaviors more easily than global identity shifts. Small identity updates are less threatening than dramatic ones. Example. After finishing a difficult project, write one sentence. I prepared consistently for 2 weeks. You're teaching your brain cause-action result. Not luck, not fraud, just behavior. Notebook with short, factual sentences being written. 2. Collect micro-evidence. What to do. Start keeping a quiet record of repeated competence. Not big wins. Small patterns. Why it works. The brain updates identity through repetition. Neural pathways strengthen with consistent evidence. One success feels like an anomaly. 10 similar successes feel like data. 3. Allow the body to adjust. What to do when praise makes you tense? Don't argue with it. Pause. Breathe slowly for 10 seconds. Let the discomfort exist. Why it works. Your nervous system needs exposure to new identity states. Avoidance reinforces threat. Calm exposure reduces it. This is basic behavioral conditioning. Example, when someone says, "You did great," instead of deflecting, say thank you. Then notice the sensation in your chest. Stay with it. You're teaching your body that success isn't danger. Slow-moving light patterns across a calm face. 4. Expand identity gradually. What to do. Adopt identity statements that are transitional. Not "I am highly successful," but "I am learning to handle bigger responsibilities." Why it works. The brain resists abrupt identity shifts, but it accepts developmental language. Growth framing reduces threat because it implies process, not finality. Example, instead of "I don't belong here," try "I'm adjusting to a higher level." It sounds subtle, but language directs neural prediction. Usual, person walking up a gentle slope, not a cliff. 6. Integration. Here's the model to remember. Success doesn't feel fake, it feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar triggers protective doubt. Your brain isn't accusing you, it's stabilizing you. Identity is like a thermostat. If the room suddenly gets warmer, bigger opportunities, recognition, growth, the thermostat tries to bring it back to its set point. Self-doubt is the cooling system. Your job isn't to smash the thermostat, it's to slowly raise the set point. Through evidence, through repetition, through calm exposure. Visual, waves moving slowly, rising slightly over time. You don't force belief, you accumulate proof, and over time, your internal story adjusts. Not dramatically, quietly. 7. Quiet, empowering, close. Maybe you feel fake because you're still meeting the version of yourself you haven't fully accepted yet. Maybe success feels strange because you're outgrowing an old identity that once kept you safe. That discomfort? It's not exposure, it's expansion. Empty room with sunlight slowly filling it. You are not deceiving the world. You are updating. Slowly. And the more you let your nervous system sit inside your growth, the more normal it becomes. One day, someone will congratulate you, and instead of shrinking, you'll simply nod, not because you finally became worthy, but because your internal story finally caught up. And that shift happens quietly, just like this.